My name is Sarab. Welcome to the first video in a series of videos where we will cover how you can integrate Contrast right into your DevOps efforts. There are many ways in which Contrast fits into a DevOps pipeline, which is why we need multiple videos to fully cover what's possible. In this training, we will cover how you can integrate Contrast with Slack. Just a note, besides Slack, we also offer integrations with several other tools as well. So even if the integration you're concerned about isn't covered in this video, you'll still have a general idea of the workflow you can follow and how Contrast helps you to speed up your application security testing. The first tool we'll cover today is Slack, which is a widely used chatting tool for teams. The chances are that if you don't use it already, you've at least heard about it. Contrast seamlessly integrates with Slack so you can be instantly notified of any changes in your application security. Incoming notifications in Slack are handled by a single webhook URL, and all API commands are sent to this one URL. We need to generate a webhook in Slack so that we can add it into our team server. Just a note here, you do need to be an administrator of your Slack account to generate webhooks. So the first step we'll need to do is log into our Slack account from a browser. As you can see, I've already done that here. Now that we're into our Slack account, you click on the Manage button. And once you're in here, you click on Custom Integrations. And we have an option of creating incoming webhooks. This is what we'll need to configure our team server with Slack. So to configure a webhook, let's click Incoming Webhooks. And let's click this green Add Configuration button. Great, so here we need to choose which channel the notifications will go to from team server. I already have a channel named Notifications, which I'd like to use for my Contrast notifications. If you'd like, you can also create a new channel. Slack is very versatile. So once you've chosen which channel you'll want the notifications to come to, click Add Incoming Webhooks Integration. And this should give us our URL. Nice. So here's our URL. So let's copy this and let's log into our team server. So now that we're into our team server, I'm going to click my name up here, click on Organization Settings, and click this Integrations button on the left. Great, so here's a list of all the integrations which we can use with team server. Since we're trying to set up Slack, I'm going to click Connect here. And all we need to do is just configure 3 fields. The first field, which is called Name, is just the name of the integration itself. I'm only going to be setting up one Slack integration with this entire team server. So I'm just going to name it Slack Team Server. If you have different Slack accounts for, let's say, different application teams which are using the team server, you may want to make this name a little bit more specific so that you can actually go in and distinguish between them when you're setting up which notifications will go to which Slack integration. But for now, I will only have one, so I am just going to name the Slack team server. URL is just a webhook URL. So just paste that there. And applications are which applications you want the ability to get notified in Slack for. So I'm just going to enable all applications here. And then later on in the notifications, I'm going to disable any applications which I don't want notifications for. So for now, I'm just going to leave this as default. And let's click Test URL. Cool, looks like it's working. So for my notifications channel, it looks like this is a test from Contrast. Great. So I'm going to click Save here. Awesome. So now that the integration itself is set up, we need to then go in and choose which notifications will be sent to this Slack integration. To do that, we'll have to go to the Notifications area. There are 2 ways to get there from this step. The first step is to click this notification bar, this bell icon. And that will take us to notifications. The better way is to just click notifications here on the left. So here's all the notifications which we can configure within Team Server. By default, Team Server comes with in contrast or email notifications. In contrast notifications are these ones up here. The integration which we're concerned about in this video is Slack. So by default, it looks like everything is disabled, and we're going to have to selectively enable the ones which we want to be notified for. So I do want to be notified if there's an active attack, so I'm going to enable that one. I also want to be notified if there's a new high or critical vulnerability, so I'm going to enable that one as well. I don't really want to know if there's a server offline, so I'm going to keep that disabled. I also don't really want to know if there's a new comment added, so I'm also going to keep that disabled. I would like to know if there's a new asset, whether there was a new application or server added to Contrast. That way I can just go in and help out whichever application team has just onboarded and make sure that they're working correctly. And that's all there is to it. Now, if any of these conditions are triggered, we should be getting messages in Slack instantaneously. But let's actually test it out and make sure that it is working the way that we want it to. I'm going to try and trigger a notification for new vulnerability. That is, I'm going to try and trigger a high or critical vulnerability in one of my applications and see if I get notified in Slack for it. So to do that, I have an application running locally, which I can use to test for that. So I'm going to load it up. This application's name is called WebGoat. Basically, it's designed to be an insecure application. It's designed to educate users on how application security works, what kind of attacks you can run against applications, and what kind of data you can get back from those attacks. So the attack I'm going to run is a numeric SQL injection, which is a known attack in this application. And a SQL injection attack comes up as a critical vulnerability, so hopefully we get notified on it. So here we are, numeric SQL injection. What this is doing here is that there's a database in the background of WebGoat, and this query is supposed to query a user ID and bring back information about that user. So if we do a numeric SQL injection, hopefully we can create a condition that's true and get back all user IDs that are located in the database. So to do that, let's do a very simple one. As you can see, I've already run it a few times. Click Get Info. Cool, looks like it worked. We got all the different user IDs in here. Great, there's our Slack notification. A new critical vulnerability was found. Let's open that up. So it looks like it just says a new critical vulnerability was found, what the application name is, and which environment it's running on, which is QA. So let's actually click this and see how it looks like. So as you can see, it's a SQL injection, user ID, and it took us directly into this vulnerability. If I go back to Slack and if I click the application, it will also take us directly into the application where this vulnerability was found. And that's all it takes. All you need is a webhook URL from Slack. You add that into your team server to set up the integration. Then you figure out which notifications you want that integration to fire on, and you should be getting notifications instantaneously whenever those conditions are met. And of course, you can then use those Slack messages and combine them with any other tool that Slack supports to build some sort of advanced messaging system. But integrating Contrast with Slack is literally that easy. Feel free to shoot us an email at support@contrastsecurity.com if you have any questions with how to integrate Slack with Contrast, or if you're wondering how to integrate Contrast with any other tools that are specific to your environment. We'll gladly help out with any questions, and we can also make another video just like this one to educate users on how to set up that integration. Thanks for watching, and catch you all in the next video.